Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. That takes us to key concept 5.6, government's role in industrialization. So keep in mind, industrial revolutions in Great Britain, some of the other earlier ones, didn't happen as a result of state intervention in the economy. It happened as a result of the causes that we saw before. However, there are a good number of countries that are going to start to see industrial revolutions as a result of the government's role in promoting industry. As influence of the Industrial Revolution grew, a small number of states and governments promoted their own state sponsored visions of industrialization. So the first example is Egypt. Muhammad Ali's development of a cotton textile industry in Egypt qualifies as one of our examples. Muhammad Ali is known as the father of modern Egypt, and he filled the power void following the French departure after the Napoleonic period. He developed a state building strategy centered around agriculture and the export of cotton. This boosted the Egyptian economy and forever changed Egypt to modernize, but with some dependence on Europeans. Another example is Japan. The expansion of the US and European influence in Asia led to internal reform in Japan that supported industrialization and led to the growing regional power of Japan in what we like to call the Meiji Restoration, where the government under Meiji promoted a new industrial revolution. 5.7 is economic developments and innovations. Western European countries began abandoning mercantilism and adopting free trade policies, partly in response to the growing acceptance of Adam Smith's theories about laissez-faire capitalism and free markets, as well as ideas from John Stuart Mill, who promoted classical liberalism, wanted to promote the idea that the government should not get involved in, say, the economy, that type of stuff. Adam Smith, in his book, An Inquiry into the Nature and Causes of the Wealth of Nations, really revolutionized the entire field of economics by introducing three laws: the law of supply and demand, the law of self-interest, and the law of competition, and pointed out what causes certain nations to be wealthier than others. And his answer is basically it's specialization of labor. People that specialize their labor to a greater degree can be more productive. His example is pin making. I have seen a small factory where 10 men only were employed and where some of them performed two or three distinct operations. They could make among them upwards of 48,000 pins in a day, but if they had all wrought separately and independently, they certainly could not each of them have even made 20 a day. So it goes to show people that are more specialized in their labor can be more productive. And he argues that this is what causes certain nations to be wealthy and other ones not to be so much. And especially like, investment, right? You take all of those pins, you sell them, you make all that money, you invest, you make even more money, and then you take that more money and you invest that. And again, next thing you know, the British Empire controls 1/4 of the land surface of planet Earth. John Stuart Mill in On Liberty wrote, "The struggle between liberty and authority is the most conspicuous feature in the portions of history." So by liberty was meant protection of against the tyranny of the political rulers. Anyway, argued in favor of governmental non-involvement in the economy. The global nature of trade and production contributed to the proliferation of large-scale transnational businesses that relied on new practices in banking and in finance. One example is HSBC as a transnational corporation. Founded in 1865 by Thomas Sutherland, HSBC facilitated British trade with China. Unilever is another example, which is based in England and the Netherlands and operated in the British West African regions and in the Belgian Congo. Unilever is one of the oldest transnational corporations in the world. It was originally founded as a margarine company in 1872 and acquired palm oil from West Africa, by which you could make margarine. Another tool is stock markets. Stock markets facilitated trade in the modern era by making it easier to acquire portions of ownership of companies, making it easier to invest. Important stock markets included those in Amsterdam and in London. Governments began to protect investors also by allowing investors only to lose what they had invested into a company and not more, by creating these things called limited liability corporations. The development of industrial capitalism led to increased standards of living for some and to continued improvement in manufacturing methods that increased the availability, affordability, and variety of consumer goods. And that's 5.6 and 5.7.